Two international students from Surrey, BC, face deportation after dragging the body of a 45-year-old man in a deadly hit and run.
Conservative MP Jamil Jivani has launched a petition to shutter the temporary foreign worker program shortly after being sworn into office.
A new study found that if Canada exported more LNG to other countries that rely on coal, it could virtually erase its global carbon footprint. Hello, Canada. It's Monday, May 26th, and this is the True North Daily Brief. I'm Isaac Lamoureux.
And I'm Noah Jarvis.
We've got you covered with all the news you need to know. Let's discuss the top stories of the day and the True North exclusives you won't hear anywhere else. Two international students, Gaganpreet Singh and Jagdeep Singh, are facing deportation and only up to 4 years in jail after pleading guilty to charges stemming from a fatal hit and run in Surrey on January 27, 2024. The incident, which killed 45-year-old man Jason Albert Gray, has been described by the victim's family in a Surrey provincial court as unimaginably cruel. They treated him like a piece of garbage, dumping him on the side of the road, said Gray's wife. He was so severely injured, we were not able to view his body. Court proceedings revealed disturbing details surrounding the event. Gaganpreet Singh was behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang that struck Gray. After the collision, the vehicle briefly stopped. A witness alerted Singh and his passenger, Jagdeep Singh, that a man was trapped underneath the car. Despite this warning, the pair drove off, dragging Gray for 1.3 kilometers. They eventually stopped and did not give the victim aid, but instead reportedly worked together to remove the victim's body and throw it to the side of the road. Gaganpreet Singh and Jagdeep Singh have pleaded guilty to failing to stop after an accident and interference with a dead body. Another individual in the car was not charged. The victim's family has expressed profound anguish over the handling of Gray's remains, highlighting the distressing nature of his death. Prosecutors are pushing for substantial penalties, recommending prison sentences of only 3 years for Gaganpreet Singh and 4 years for Jagdeep Singh. Additionally, both men face 3-year driving bans. Their status as international students mean they will face deportation hearings following their sentencing. So, Noah, is Canada's international student program far too lenient with regards to who we are giving student visas to?
Absolutely. We've seen the stories where the government has been giving international student permits to people who are going to fake colleges and fake universities, or just with colleges who are giving out plenty more international student permits than they had in previous years to make up for certain financial difficulties. So the international student program definitely has been abused. The federal government has not really been responding to that as quickly as many Canadians have been hoping for. But when you're allowing people to come into this country and potentially obtain a license, you have to ensure that these people are qualified to drive. And clearly, in this case, Gaganpreet Singh and Jagdeep Singh should not have been behind the wheel of any vehicle. And the fact that the punishment that they have been given was so lenient is really telling of how broken the Canadian criminal justice system, only facing a few years behind bars and only having a 3-year driving ban. I think that is a bit ridiculous. I think a lot of Canadians would find that there to be a lack of justice in this situation. Wiping out an entire family truly is tragic and should face more severe consequences. So just facing only up to 4 years in jail for the fatal hit and run that he committed, I think many Canadians would disagree with that. So we need to be more stringent in the type of people that we allow to be driving on our streets, the type of people that we're bringing into this country in general, and the type of punishment that we are doling out to people who are murdering people in their vehicles. Conservative MP Jamil Jivani has launched a petition calling on the Liberal government to end the temporary foreign worker program. Jivani argues that the program suppresses Canadian wages and worsens the labor market. In his first official statement after being sworn in on Thursday, Jivani launched the petition demanding the government to scrap the program entirely. Jivani wrote, quote, "No more cheap labor programs that take Canadian jobs and suppress wages." The petition claims that the temporary foreign worker program is a major contributor to, quote, "unsustainable immigration levels and is directly harming Canadian workers." The petition reads, quote, "Youth unemployment in Canada rose from about 9% in 2022 to over 14% in 2024, the highest level in more than a decade, excluding the COVID-19 period." Giovanni pointed to rising numbers of foreign workers in youth-dominated sectors like food service and retail. The petition also cites labor concerns raised by the Iron Workers Union, Local 97, which has called on Ottawa to end the program and focus instead on training and hiring domestic workers. The petition makes an exception for seasonal agricultural workers, calling for their program to be treated separately to support Canada's farming industry while ending the broader temporary foreign worker program. So, Isaac, what sort of entry-level jobs are temporary foreign workers taking that could otherwise go to younger Canadians who are just entering the workforce?
Yeah, Noah, so you mentioned food services and retail, which are definitely a big part of it. For example, in Ontario, Tim Hortons hired at least 714 temporary foreign workers in 2023, up from just 58 in 2019. But while food services and retail are some of the main industries, so too are hospitality, construction, and warehouse and logistics. These jobs typically require minimal formal education or experience. These sectors are labor intensive and often rely on shift or part-time work, which many young Canadians take on either during school or as their first jobs after graduation. And the temporary foreign worker program increases competition for these roles, allowing employers to hold wages down or bypass the need to train and develop local talent, which in turn makes it harder for domestic workers, especially youth, to gain experience or to enter the job market. But it's not just those markets. Anecdotally, I've heard nightmare after nightmare of people entering the job market after graduating university in countless industries and seen their inability to find a job for years. I've had some friends who, luckily enough, could find work in different countries, notably the US, but who have remained out of luck in Canada. Also, Giovanni called on the fraction of temporary foreign workers classified as seasonal agricultural workers to be treated as a separate program and not lumped in with the broader program that leads to the suppression of Canadian wages. The first line describing the program on the federal government website reads, quote, "The temporary foreign worker program allows Canadian employers to hire foreign workers to fill temporary jobs when qualified Canadians are not available." But clearly, that is not the case. In almost any instance, I mean, look at the videos online of these job fairs in Ontario. Thousands of people lined up. Still, did those jobs go to Canadians or to temporary foreign workers for which the company will be subsidized? A new Fraser Institute study found that if Canada wants to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions, it could sell Asia some of the cleanest LNG in the world. Canada could replace much of Asia's coal-powered energy, which generates nearly twice the greenhouse gas emissions as natural gas, for the same amount of electricity. According to the study, if Canada sold the additional natural gas to Asia after doubling its production, it could reduce the equivalent of taking 137 million cars off the road annually. Elmira Ali Akbari, a natural resource expert with the Fraser Institute and co-author of the study, told True North, quote, "It's possible for us to double our existing natural gas production, but realistically, for that to happen, we need to remove several barriers that are now in the way." According to a Natural Resources Canada report from 2024, Canada holds 87 trillion cubic feet of proven natural gas reserves, ranking 15th globally and third in the Western Hemisphere. In the same year, the Energy Institute reported that Canada was the fifth largest natural gas producer in the world and produced 190.3 billion cubic meters in 2023. By replacing China's coal-generated power with Canada's LNG, the study found that emissions would be cut by 62% for every unit of energy produced. It noted that coal consumption in the Asia-Pacific region, including China and India, rose by 182% between 2000 and 2023. Coal accounted for 56% of India's energy consumption and 54% of China's in 2023. Ali Akbari said several forecasts, including from the International Energy Agency, show that demand for LNG will continue to rise in the coming years and decades. Demand is expected to rise, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, with a growing population and energy demands as they make good on their pledge to decarbonize their economies. She noted Canada's competitive advantages, including its colder climate, shorter shipping distances to Asia compared to the US, and its use of hydroelectricity in the liquefaction process. These factors also give Canadian LNG a lower carbon footprint than most global competitors. Ali Akbari said it's possible to double Canada's existing LNG production to offset global emissions. However, the provincial and federal governments of Canada would need to remove several barriers to do so. so. So, Noah, what are some of the legislative barriers that exist that prevent further LNG production?
It's been stated repeatedly, and it's Bill C-69. Bill C-69, the Liberal government's quote unquote no more pipeline bill, helps to ensure that resource development in Canada is extremely time consuming and extremely expensive. Canada has one of the most time consuming and expensive environmental assessment processes, largely brought in place by the Trudeau government under Bill C-69. And if Canada wants to have any hope of becoming energy superpower in developing our LNG and even developing our oil, there's no chance of doing so under the regime that the Trudeau government has put into place. Mark Carney has promised to help to speed up resource development projects, but he did not pledge to repeal Bill C-69. The closest he gotten to saying something like that was in his interview with Vasi Capellos of CTV, where he said that he would explore all options that is necessary to speeding up resource development, but that is not necessarily going to be a given for this Liberal government when you have people like Stephen Guilbeault at the cabinet table, who is very much against resource development his entire life, and he has not backed down from that ideological commitment that he committed himself to in his youth. And you also have the current energy minister who he worked at Hydro Ontario, and he is still a bit of a unknown commodity with how he's going to approach the energy file. So it remains to be seen whether or not the Carney government will take the necessary steps to getting rid of the legislative barriers to LNG production. But as this report notes, if he is able to get rid of those barriers, Canada can become a energy superpower by exporting our LNG to Asia, and not just Asia, because that's half of the battle. We can also begin exporting our LNG to Europe. If you recall, the former German Chancellor Olaf Scholz came to Canada a few years ago to explore options for Canada to export its energy. And all Trudeau could tell him is that there's no business case to exporting Canadian LNG to Germany, and that the only thing that Canada really can explore doing is exporting hydrogen energy, which is still a bit of an unproven source of energy. So if Mark Carney, if the conservative opposition is able to pressure the Carney government into exploring options into exporting our LNG to Asia as well as Europe, I think Canada could really become the energy superpower that the Fraser Institute describes. But that would require serious action that Mark Carney hasn't really indicated that he's willing to take.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. You can stay on top of new episodes every weekday by subscribing to the Daily Brief on iTunes and Spotify. Also, while you're at it, make sure to hit us with a 5-star rating and please leave a review.